Everybody, I'm Dave with Growing the Home Garden. Every now and then your garden gets a little out of hand, okay? And mine is way out of hand right now. There's too much stuff going on. I've got too many plants in too many places, and I need to simplify because probably within the next year or so we're going to be trying to sell this property and move over to another one that we've got 7 acres of land on that we're going to build on. So we'll have a lot of fun over there creating new gardens and stuff, but that doesn't mean that somebody's going to want the amount of maintenance that I'm going to have on this particular property. And so today I'm going to show you this Otto Luyken cherry laurel that I have over here. Same one I did the post on how to propagate them. They've gotten too big, and probably in this spot it's not the ideal place for them. So let me flip the camera around so you can see what I'm talking about. So right here is our front porch area. That's a camellia over there. Those will have these really nice white blooms coming late this fall and early into winter. And then here's the cherry laurels, the Otto Luyken cherry laurel. And then over here on the other side is another camellia. Those need to be trimmed up and shaped a lot better than they currently are. They've gotten a little out of hand. And then I've just got a whole bunch of junk here that I just want to cull out and get rid of. Some things I'm going to transplant and save, like the phlox over here, this one, and that one. I forget which one is which. One is Friend Schubert and the other is another one. I can't remember it. But down over here I've got some coneflowers that have gotten overgrown with some weeds, and you can see there they've gone to seed and the birds have been eating them. They're great plants to have around for the birds. So what I am going to do though with this area and the Otto Luyken cherry laurels is I'm going to take them and I'm going to cut them back to about 1 foot high. So if they're 1 foot high, I feel like they'll probably come back just fine. It'll be just like a hard coppicing or pruning down to that level. But even if they don't come back, I'm okay with getting some smaller shrubs that are probably a better fit in this location. And what this will do for me is it'll clear up the rail, because the rail of the porch goes right across here. And the deck of the porch, actually the brick line, is probably down right over here, and that will clear up that area, give us a better view from the front porch, and give people a better view of the house itself as we do stuff. So I'll be back with you in a minute. I'm going to start doing some pruning, and let's see how this turns out. Now for this project, this pruning, I'm probably just going to use these 2 tools here for the most part. This is just a regular bow saw. It's been great. It's really good for pruning off larger limbs and softwood and stuff like that. It's got some really good teeth on it, and I've never actually changed this blade. It has just been amazing for a long time. Now this here is a Fiskars Power Gear 2, and what makes it really cool is it's got this little gear mechanism over here which allows you to power through a little bit thicker of a branch. You can probably get 2-inch branches here without any problem. Great tool, really love it, use it a lot on some of the larger stuff. It's a little bit, takes a little more arm strength to use than say just a regular one without the gear thing, but this will help you power through any of those really thick branches. So I've worked my way in so you can see kind of what I've got here. These are the internal branches of those cherry laurels, and I want to cut them probably about to 1 foot, maybe 16, 18 inches or so tall. I don't want them real big. And then over here on the side you see this brick wall. Basically I want to keep them so that they are underneath that top row of bricks so that they'll stay down and we'll be able to see over top of them and see the deck rails and stuff. Those all need to get pressure washed and cleaned too. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go through each of these. I've got 3 of them here. This is the camellia base right there, and it should not be too hard to get through this, especially with that power gear. Most of those branches are not that thick, and I don't even want to touch those larger ones right there. I'm just going to aim for these smaller ones here and kind of come around that direction, get it this way, and cut through. And we'll just go one at a time, cutting from the inside, and I'll probably make sure I stay above any little growth like this here so I can keep that going. Alright, so what we've got right here is where I was talking about leaving it with a few branches up at the top. We are roughly 16 or so inches high here. I used the branches to help dictate where I was going to cut back to. I wanted to make sure there was a little bit of foliage there because I'm really not trying to kill this plant. I would rather not have to go and purchase new plants and put in here, but I'd like to get these back to a controllable size. And I've done similar techniques with like the Shasta viburnum and a few other plants here and there, and they've usually come back thriving because they've already got these established root systems down here, and when you do a hard pruning every now and then, they can really tolerate that. What may in fact happen is that they'll start generating some buds from these cut ends and become a little bit more bushy down around that base area where I'd rather have it be. Okay guys, we got a little work done here. So if you look over here, here are the cherry laurels. You can tell I tried to leave some foliage on them so that they have something to regenerate from. They'll have quite a bit of energy in those roots to restore some foliage here, so I'm not really concerned about them. I think they're going to do just fine. So there you go on all that. Now the other problems that we're running into is we get these native vines called crossvine, and they're great for hummingbirds and stuff, but they are terrible to have in and around your plants, around your household plantings, because they just will take over completely. So, you know, trying to pull these up as best we can here and there, crossvine. The other thing is we get Virginia creeper, and Virginia creeper is all over the place. A lot of people get it mixed up for poison ivy. Like here's some of that Virginia creeper right there. You can see it doesn't look that happy as far as things go. It usually looks happier. What they say, leaves of 3 let it be, leaves of 5 let it thrive. I don't necessarily agree with letting it thrive because I don't really want it right here in this space. So those are a couple of the problems. This is not poison ivy if you ever see it in your garden or anything. This is actually a box elder. And you'll notice that the leaves there look like they're in sets of 3. But this is just a tree in the maple family. So you can pull those out. They're kind of a junky tree to begin with. Now if I step back a little bit, that's an iris right there. I believe it's Caesar's brother is the name of that one. They are beautiful each spring when they bloom. Artemisia there that we uncovered that is looking pretty sad, but will look better now that it's got some of the foliage removed from around it. There's the coneflower again. We had some irises here that they bloom a nice purple each year. And then there's more of that euonymus that just goes everywhere. Its other name is purple winter creeper because it just likes to creep over everything. That is a creeping phlox right there. I used to have creeping phlox where it would cover over the rocks, but as you can tell, Bermuda grass has crept into this bed, and it got in and around all this stuff and was really hard to keep out of the phlox because it being a ground cover, the Bermuda grass would just flow up and through and overtook this so much. So it was really hard to work in this scenario. What I need to do is come back, take some cuttings of this, get some new plants to root, pull these out, and just kind of straighten this whole thing out. So that's my work for today. That was a good bed. There's still some things I need to do, like right there, that camellia is called winter snowman, and it will need cut back also. Otherwise it's going to have so much height on those laurels that they won't have a chance of getting any sunlight. And so I'll have to do this one symmetrically as well. But I don't want to do that until after each of these plants has had a chance to bloom this fall. So I'll probably cut them back first thing in the spring, and that way everything will have exactly what it needs as far as sunlight goes. So among my other list of things that I need to do, these are all irises. And over time, as the shade has come over here, they've lost their sunlight, and so they need to be moved into a better spot. So I'll probably take some of those, transplant them, move them maybe into the other areas or something like that. This is our arbor that I built many years ago, and I've got to figure out a way to do this repair here. This is where carpenter bees have gone into it, and then woodpeckers have come back and gone after the carpenter bee larvae. And in doing so, they kind of just made these humongous gashes. This is probably the worst one right here, but I do have another one that will need to be repaired right there. So I'm looking for ways to come up with a good repair on that where I don't have to completely redo this. Now this was built a long time ago, and that one board has got some mold on it, so I'll need to replace that whole setup, but that's easy. That's just a 2x4 piece of cake. I got to come in. This is a Concord grapevine, and I need to trim this out, probably snip it here and here and here, and let it regrow next year all fresh. Probably do that here before too long. You can tell it's got a little bit of a fungal thing going on it, and it's kind of pulling up into that crepe myrtle. I did do some pruning on the crepe myrtle earlier today, You probably can't tell because they're so big, but this pretty good sized branch right there, it was coming all the way over that way, covering in front of the house. So I cleaned that up. Still more to do on the crepe myrtle trees to prune them like I'd like them to be, but I'm gonna wait till fall. I can see this branch over here is definitely gonna need some pruning with a pole saw. Over here in this bed, you got an elephant ear, and then I just threw out some seed for some cosmos and zinnias. The zinnias haven't bloomed yet. They're right there starting to go, and the cosmos is blooming away. They're an excellent flower to just throw out for things to grow. That is a Shasta viburnum that I cut back severely. You can see it's doing very well. It's got some weeds coming up through it, some vine stuff that I need to get in there and pull out. And there's our Jane magnolia. And I need to get that one layered so I can take some good cuttings of that. Haven't been successful yet with it other than layering. Layering seems to be the most reliable method for it. But over here, this is a plant I just love. Now this is not the American beautyberry. This is it's one that's a hybrid from Japan. I can't remember the exact botanical name. I'll pop that up on the screen though. But they have some gorgeous berries in the fall. They're just amazing. I need to get some of the American variety so that we can have some of it growing. They have a little bit different pattern on how the berry clusters form, but they're all pretty amazing plants. So I hope you enjoyed following me along on some of this pruning project that I've got here on these laurels. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. We're going to go through and redo this bed in a different pattern. I love the stone that I've got here, and so it's going to come to our land, and it's not going to be left here. We're going to do something different up here in the front, a little simpler, something that maybe somebody who's not an avid gardener is going to be just happy with because they won't have to maintain. But we'll keep those stones and we'll move them over to the property for new garden beds, new landscaping and stuff like that when we get to it. A lot of things going on, a lot of stuff in the next year is going to be happening. So please, subscribe, follow along. Love to show you some stuff as we do these things. So anyway, until next time, I'm Dave from Growing the Home Garden. Thanks for watching.